Welcome to this session on innovation in honors programs. We talk today about a study on the spin-off on honors innovations to the regular programs at higher education institutions. This study has been done and is presented by a team of 3 researchers, Pierre van Eijl, who still is not available at this moment. I don't see him, so his camera is not on. Pierre is a senior consultant for higher education at Utrecht University in the Netherlands. The second team member is Natasha Kuipers from the section University of Applied Science. She's in Enschede, the Netherlands, and my name is Albert Pilot. I'm emeritus professor from Utrecht University in the Netherlands. We made a program consider of a number of items. Can I have the next slide? After my welcome, Natasha Kuipers will ask a question to you to think about these issues and to start the interaction. Then Pierre van Eijl will present the research project in a summary and the main conclusions. Natasha, who is a teacher in section, honors teacher, will present her example of a course for regular students that was inspired by honors, so one of the cases in our study. Then we have some 15 minutes for an interactive part with a discussion about 3 questions, and we finish with the overall conclusions of the session and information and contact. So we can now leave the shared screen, and I give the floor to Natasha, who will present an introductory question for all of you. Natasha, can you take over? Natasha, your microphone.
Yes. Okay, thank you, Albert. I've done a lot of things, and you've heard some things, and it's all about innovation, and actually it's all about, I try actually to get where the magic happens. So that's my focus. It's not the silence, maybe sometimes also the silence before a meeting like this. Yeah? But it's also about where the magic happens. And actually I'm a lawyer, but I like also the heart-to-heart thing. And the balance I like. Yeah, it's about heart, but it's also about law and ethics. And the question I will ask you, I will say it in 1 minute, but I tried to challenge colleagues from our section university to experiment like honors. That's and if I start a meeting with students or colleagues, I always start with a good question, and mostly I start with a lot of questions. So that's why I now will start also with a question. I think that question is an important question for honors. So I like to measure this with you. And what I am going to measure is this. How was your battery yesterday? Was it loaded with a lot of magic moments? So that's my question. Your battery yesterday, maybe 57% yesterday, or maybe was your battery yesterday 33%, or maybe it was 50 with magic moments. That's my question. How was your battery yesterday? Was it loaded with a lot of magic moments? So now I will ask you to think about it. Maybe you can, I always ask students or colleagues also to think first before they speak in a meeting like this online. And so I will give you some time to think about it. How was your day yesterday? I think it's important. So maybe you can draw it like I did, like a battery. So we can see it. Maybe it's nice to see from everybody. So if you can choose for the view gallery, you can see everybody. So I like to have a community. I see 25 participants. So I don't see everybody has his camera on, and I like it. If I work with students, I always ask them the camera has to be on. And I don't work with students who do not, but you're not students. But I like to see the people. That's why I ask. I always start with a question, who's personally, but which is personal. So please draw a battery. I like to see them. I see a battery from Maarten. Okay, thank you, Maarten. I see a battery from Jeroen. Yes. And a lot of more. I see Ron. He's not, yes, he's also one. Oh, yeah. Are there more batteries? Yes, a lot of more. Nice. Annelies, Marike, Nina, everyone has a battery here. Yes, 50%. Now now you're thinking about this. You've drawn this. My English, I always think, okay, it's not too good, but I try. And that's also about the magic moment, I think. Maybe you can react on this. What's about your battery? You've signed it. I like to have some reactions. How was your battery? What were your magic moments yesterday? So take the floor.
I can say something, maybe?
Yes.
Yeah, well, we are attending a conference with a lot of interesting sessions. So yesterday was very inspirational. So I think for me, there were a lot of magic moments actually delivered to me at home by colleagues from all around the world. So yeah, it was a good day for magic moments.
Yeah. Maybe I can see your battery. Okay.
75%.
Yes, it's good loaded. Nice. And the magic moment, Jori, what is it? A magic moment for you? What is it?
Something new, something I didn't think of on my own, something that, something that it's not just that the thing that's delivered to me, but something that kind of has meaning for me. So inspiration, basically, that's a magic moment for me.
Yes, okay, nice, inspiration. Okay, maybe somebody can react on this and show his battery.
I had a nice moment yesterday morning. I attended the session of Peter Velter and his colleagues. And they were talking about the importance of the relation between teachers and students in an honors program. Mm-hmm. It happened that last winter we interviewed 24 teachers in 3 different columns of our education, and the outcome is similar. All these teachers think, whether it's in a research university or a University of Applied Science or vocational education, MBO, that the relation between students and teachers is the most important when you are working with individual students and when you try to get the best out of them. So it was a kind of joy moment to see that internationally this is also a topic and also found as a very important thing to work with. So that was a nice moment.
Yes, nice. Thank you. Hey, Ron, and what is in About You? So that is your magic moment, and what's it's about you? Why is it for you a magic moment?
Well, we started these interviews from curiosity. What is happening in class? Why is it successful? Is it a teacher? Is it the learning environment? Is it a typical kind of students or anything? And so it was very nice to finally get some answers and to find out what from our interviews, and which was confirmed yesterday morning in the session of Peter Felten, that one of the most important things is that relation, which we also found. So that's a joy moment to find out it is in the same.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Ron. Maybe you're curious about somebody who's in this community today. This little community of 54 minutes. Maybe you can ask somebody. Maybe we will do the last one, Albert and Pierre. This is the last person, maybe because we have to go further next. Maybe Ron? Yes? You will somebody?
Yeah. I thought I saw Marleen from Antwerp. Is she present?
Marleen.
No. Maybe
Present, but having breakfast, so with my mouth full. So I'm sorry.
No? Okay.
Maybe Marieke then? Marieke Lammers? I can see her in the morning. Good morning, Marieke.
Good morning. I'm still also starting up. Your question to me is also about my battery and what my magic moment was.
Yes.
Natasha? Yeah?
Yes.
Well, my battery 75%. Parts of it I did outside in the heat and then got back in. So that's nice of working at home. But the most magic moment yesterday was I called a colleague, a new colleague I don't know very well. We did not have a meeting, but she picked up the phone. We had a chat, and we discussed, what could we do together next year, next school year. And I said, I'd like to think about it. And the magic was that within, just a couple of hours, the same day, she already called back and had discussed with others. She had done a lot of, after the session we had together, a lot of things and called me back. So that was very magic. Normally it does take a while.
Yes.
And that made me feel very joyful and enthusiastic, and I got motivated much more. So that was the magic moment.
Okay. Wow. Thank you for your story. That was a magic moment because it was very fast also. You like it to get, what does it in yourself if it's go fast, if you see somebody, so you think about this person. And then
I like the speech, yeah.
Yes. Okay, nice. Thank you, Marieke. Okay, I will give the podium to the next one. I think it's Pierre.
Yes, it's me. My camera of my computer is not compatible with the software of the conference, so you will do it with only my voice. And I will tell you something about research project we did last year, because we like to know if honest innovations had a spin-off to a regular program. Because an intention at the start of honest programs in Dutch higher education was that talent development should not only be for a small group of the more able and motivated students, but honors should be stimulating for all students. But the question is there a spin-off, and how does it happen? And what can we learn from it? And I will tell you this in a nutshell, because a lot of details, we had a lot of interviews. Next slide, please. We had a lot of interviews with teachers for this project. We have 11 teachers from universities of applied science in the Netherlands. We interviewed them, and all of them had experience with the spin-off of honors to regular programs. And I mean regular programs that may be programs for school teachers, nurses, technicians, and so on. More higher vocational directed. These teachers we interviewed were selected by the Dutch Honors Network of Universities of Applied Science. Besides the interviews, we analyzed documents and did a literature search. Please, next slide. There's some example of interview questions. We wanted to know what kind of innovation they were involved in. Innovation in relation with the spin-off of honors. Which characteristics of honors education were inspiring for them for educational innovation in the regular program? And we offered a list of 14 characteristics, if they could check the list. And some other questions about the scale and degree of complexity of the innovation, and what motivated the teachers and the management of the program to implement this educational innovation. Next slide, please. I don't tell you all the details of the interviews, but I will give you some view on our main conclusions. And what's very interesting is the first conclusions that the innovations in the regular education, where the experience of the teachers with an honors program had a stimulating effect, were highly varied. So it was, for instance, a change in a course, the setting up of a module, the design of a minor, graduation trajectory, of even entire 4 years bachelor programs. So there is a whole spectrum of innovations that became visible. And a striking feature of these innovations was that from the 14 honors characteristics we offered the interviewees, all of them were to a greater or lesser extent used in a renewed regular education. For example, more open issues, more complex issues, issues from outside organizations, outside persons, more teamwork and community building, and still some other features. Next slide. And all the 11 cases show that teachers with experience in honors programs were inspired by this and felt capable of realizing innovations in regular educations. And in interviews, some teachers said, yes, we are standing more firmly in our shoes. And I hope that this is an expression in the Dutch language. I hope that it will translate to English. So they felt more firm, for stronger when they had to change things in the regular program. Often they did it in collaboration with one or more colleagues. And in curriculum projects where entire teams of teachers we were involved in this innovation. And that is our main conclusion. In all these cases, the honors teacher was, so to speak, the linking pin, the link between the experience with honors education and the innovation of regular education. Next slide. Yes, and we like to summarize its main conclusions. that the spin-off of honest to regular, that there the honest teachers were crucial, the linking pin, and often in colleagues, with cooperation with colleagues, but also with students and the management. Sometimes was a good cooperation with management, some little cooperation. And then we had to keep in mind that all these developments were not only because the developments on this program, but also developments in the profession, in the institute, or in the society at large. Next slide, please. In some more explanation of the conclusion, in the perception of the interviewees, 9 of the 11 cases involve complex changes. It were not easy changes, complex changes. And it can be complex in terms of the content, in terms of teaching methodology, in terms of organization, and especially the last thing in case of curriculum projects that ask quite an organization. The reason for the renewal was not only desire to work with honors, development in professional practice and society at large also played an important role, as I just explained. And also we asked, what does it mean for students? And that was very different, but I give some examples. Have learned to work together in a more disciplinary way, of learn to work more self-directed in a freer situation, to be more critical and investigative. And then that was very important that for all cases the innovation was considered by the teachers as sustainable. There's not a change, one change for one time. No, it was sustainable. Next slide, please. And about their personal role, that at least 8 of the 11 teachers who were interviewed estimated the stimulating effect of honors program for the renewal of a regular education is reasonable stimulating to very stimulating. And what was very interesting, their own role in the process of educational innovation were characterized by 7 of the 11 teachers was interviewed as the inventor of the educational innovation or the forerunner of the implementation of a good idea. And there you see a very interesting thing that you could see this honest teachers were a kind of change agent within the organization. These are the main conclusions, and we can come back in to Natasha, and we have also some discussion questions where this comes back. Next slide, please. Okay. The floor is yours to Natasha. For we still have 20 minutes.
Actually, I had to unmute myself. Yes. Okay. The discussion. Now, I'd like to say something about the battery and the magic moments, how it was for me yesterday. I will get to see this drawing. This was it for me yesterday. Yesterday I had the final meeting with my students from the minor law. And that's one of the examples who had interviewed Albert and Pierre. I'm one of the people. And why it was yesterday something like this for me, because the people, the minor people who are interdisciplinary, they were with me at home. It was the final course, it was at home. There were good discussions. We had a surprise yesterday. There was music. There was one person who had brought his guitar with him. There was real connection. I think that was also love. But there were also talks about this part because it was the minor law. So it was also about how you can be a lawyer. Yes. So for me, it was very good, but it was not actually, everything was not good because I had one vaccination, Corona, and I forgot one appointment. So that was not nice for me. That was it. And I also want to ask you another question for this part, because I always ask students a lot of questions. And that's about the next question. The first time I got in school with my students after Corona, I asked them this. Okay, I had maybe you can sign. I saw the students and I never heard their own voice. I only heard their voice in the screen, in the video, but not in real. So I asked this. This is a head, maybe my head, maybe your head, and this is how I talk right now, because I draw it. I draw it net. So my question to the students was, what is the sound of your voice? And I think you know what I mean with that. The sound of your voice for a lot students is very important. Is it slow? Is it fast? Is it soft? Is it hard? But I think it's also very important for everybody, for teachers, for managers, for innovators. When do you say something and when there is silence? So I ask again, maybe you can talk your voice, and maybe you can draw your voice. So what is your voice? Maybe you can draw it. Maybe you've done it a lot of times, but a lot of people do not draw their voice, their real voice. So I think my voice at this moment is this. But sometimes it is this. So I don't say a lot sometimes. So if I don't know what to say or I'm not comfortable, so I like to hear of you. What is your real? What is the sound of your voice? Maybe we can start with that.
You don't want to hear it, but you want us to draw it.
Yes. And then I will hear your voice to say something about that. Yes, this first draw. Because what is a voice? Is a voice only to hear, or is it sometimes also to see? I don't know. Yes. Kijk, I like that. Some people say draw real something else, not like I did. I saw Ron. he drew something else than I did, so very nice. Can somebody, if he's ready, react on this? What is the sound of your voice?
Yeah, I made it like this, or like this. Yeah. I don't know. That's better. I try to, on the other way around, say something and then listen, and then say something and then listen again, and then say something and then listen again, and then maybe at the end try to come to a conclusion together. That's why there's some silence between.
Yes. And is it your voice now, or is it mostly your voice like this?
Well, 75%, maybe 60.
Oh.
Maybe I'm a bit too positive. In my last evaluation, they said you should listen even more than you already do. So that's a good method.
Oh, okay. Okay. Mooi. Nice. Maybe somebody else can react? I'm curious. Okay, nice. I see some people with their picture. I with students, I always wait. If I ask somebody, I know a lot of teachers in a regular program, and they give the answer. So sometimes if I do some things with them, they don't wait. So I just wait because we need some time to get forward, to take the podium. So who wants to say something with his voice and get a magic moment? Because we see you. It's not. It is maybe it's about that. If we see you, who will try?
We can't hear you, Annelies.
Oh, is Annelies talking?
Yes, she's talking,
Oh.
but nobody hears her. Her mic is on, but we can't hear her.
Your mic is off. Now it's on. Yeah. Maybe. Okay. Nice. Thank you.
And you use the wrong camera. Ah, yeah, that's better.
No, we don't hear you, Annelies. Nee, hè? Jeroen, we don't hear Annelies or not? No.
No, Annelies, we can't hear you.
Okay. Okay, thank you. And this is normal. This will happen in meetings with students. It happens. So it's yes. Okay. Thank you for maybe now it's your voice to be to have silence. Maybe it's good. Yes, maybe it's good for you. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, like that. Why not? Okay, thank you, Annelies. Maybe we can go to the part with the inhoud. I don't know, Albert, Pierre, for this. For maybe you have questions or things. Because I was thinking now. First of all, I thought maybe we can do breakout rooms. I don't know if Pierre, if there's time.
You have 10 more minutes.
No, we have only 10 minutes.
Only.
10 more minutes. And yeah, we like to offer the free questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you can...
and maybe we can get the next slide. Yeah? Sorry? Yeah, and then the next slide. Yeah. We have this 3 questions. And for you, we ask you which innovations from honest to regular programs are the most desirable and promising in the coming years. They can for you all be different. And a second question, which ways may be suitable to reinforce the linking pin principle between honest and regular programs? We saw in the research it is a very strong possibility to innovate regular programs, how we can reinforce that principle. And then first question about the contribution, what can be the contribution of a network of honest programs? So I was in the Netherlands, we have, for instance, the HBO Honest Network. What could be the contribution to this innovation processes as outlined in this research? We have 3 questions, and we can discuss it plenary. We can discuss in the in the breakout room, but then the time is so short. We have only 7, 8 minutes. Because I like to do it in a plenary way. Otherwise, you know, there is no possibility. Then there is no time enough. And maybe there is someone who will like react on one of these questions. Or even give the answers.
I think they have to think first, yes or not.
Maybe we can start with the first question.
Yes.
Which innovations from honors to regular programs are the most desirable and promising for the coming years? That may be different from the different institutions. So it might be interesting to hear from the different institutions whether what they think are the most important innovations for the next years.
Well, what I've learned, Albert, is that, and Natasha and Pierre, is that the challenging real-life issues are a very promising start to innovate regular education. Teachers have had a way of changing an issue to an educational issue, because they thought students had to learn something, so they made up also almost an issue which they could use in their education. But students are very keen on detecting this kind of issues, and they think, I'm doing this for my teacher. While when you have a real life issue, which comes from society or an organization or a company or whatever, and you leave it as it is, then students find it much more challenging and they put more energy in it. And I think that's one of the main issues we should implement in regular education, because it's very energizing for students.
I would like to react on that, Ron. I fully agree with you. I'll lower my, it's already lowered my hand. I agree with you. It should be meaningful. What students do should be meaningful for themselves. So it should be something that they find the energy to work on, but also it should contribute to society as such. And if it's a real result, we'll see that but the intention, that's very important. So real life work. In addition to that, I would say it's also important that, and Natasha already gave us some example, that students come up with input on their personal, somehow on their personal growth, or their personal, the things that are important for them. So in the past, we really worked with a lot of students that or with, let's say, education that addressed content as such, but we hardly involved stuff that really, was important for students in their personal life. And I think if we make that connection, then learning will be much stronger. And the last thing I would like to add is, if we can do that by sharing it amongst students in between themselves, so in, let's say, small communities, that's what we learn from our honors programs. In small communities where they feel safe and where they can also make mistakes and they can express themselves upon the things that really move them, that motivate them, then learning becomes very, very powerful. But I will address this in the next session.
Okay, so what you say is listen to the students,
Okay,
and put on their issues. And Ron, can you react to that? Is that also one of the things in Rotterdam?
Yeah, the matter of being meaningful for students is indeed very important. Nitty is right about that, because students, it's well, it sounds maybe old-fashioned, but Vygotsky already said, of course, you have to build on what's already there. So being meaningful for students means you have to connect with their own context, you might say, with their own goals, with their own ideas, with their own, well,
Niti said their personal things that fits in the interaction discussions of yesterday, and that means that we don't have to plan content but more situations in which we can start from the students that come in and maybe have different ideas than the students that came in yesterday. Niti, how should we start that kind of sessions? Because
I will address that in the next session that will follow upon this one. But that's a good question, because that's the search we're making. That's the most difficult thing, actually. How are we going to do it? And of course, I have ideas about it, and we have developed experiments which tell us that it's important to build a safe environment in which we connect with what moves students, what really occupies them, what really is meaningful for them. So it's all about professional growth. That's what we're for. That's why they do this education. But professional growth is our finding and the statement from all these years of honors education. And now and that's interesting, we're really trying to implement it, or trying to, let it trickle down into regular programs, which is in fact also the question you have. So it's a bigger scale, and what we need to do is try to find a way to create small groups, small communities of students in which that may happen. And so good questions are, okay, questions about what did you do this weekend? The question, Natasha, what does your voice sound like? It's a weird question, actually, Natasha, but it can, trigger something. It can help to get in some weird way into a new realm of thinking and dialogue. And students might think, well, what is this about? But eventually you will get something out of it by just doing weird things as well. So it's the experience that counts. And if you have similar weird experiences, well, you can talk about it. And then the dialogue may start. So I think that's what we should do. It's a little bit abstract, but let's just try and find out, practice, and learn from it.
Okay.
So we have room for exploration. I have to be the bad guy here because it's 9:45. Albert, Natasha, and Pierre, would you like to have a closing remark?
Well, I think we didn't discuss the three questions, but I think this is an important issue for the next years, and it will give some space for more discussion in the coming weeks, how to do this kind of things and what kind of experience we have. I think in one of the cases we discussed in Utrecht University of Applied Sciences, we saw that kind of work, that kind of courses in which teachers started from a very different point than presenting content or focusing on content issues, but starting with asking questions to the students, giving space for discussions, for personal meetings between students, and working from that in giving it time to discuss together that kind of things. But it's quite difficult for teachers to change their way of teaching,
right?
Because it's not about teaching, it's about stimulating learning, and that makes it quite different, but interesting. Right. And I hope that this will be the starting point for a next session. Thank you,
Yes.
Natasha, for bringing us with these questions. Thank you for Niti to present some of the ideas for your next session. I hope that many of us will be in the next session also.
I do too.
Yeah, for not being visible, but presenting the conclusions of this study that we will
Thank you, Albert.
we will try to write in a short paper and present in the journal of the EAC. Thank you, Jeroen, for being the host of this session, and I propose that we now will finish. Thank you all.
Yes, thank you. So also Albert, Natasha, and Pierre.